Hey everyone, Jamie Star here. I wanted to cover, because, we have this whole Bernie Sanders socialism $15 minimum hour wage type stuff being pushed through society, and I didn't pull the latest article. These are some older ones because I've been prepping for this next batch of videos for a while now. So, article in Forbes, Seattle's $15 minimum wage, jobs down, unemployment up. This isn't working, is it? And you can hear that the minimum wage went into effect and job loss just skyrocketed. You guys feel free. I'm not going to read the whole article to you to pull it up. You had that happen. UC Berkeley touts $15 minimum wage and then fires hundreds of workers after it passes. And then you also had Wendy's now, which is putting in kiosks for everyone to order their food on. And this is the whole thing that these people don't realize. They're not demanding a higher minimum wage. They're demanding higher unemployment. They are demanding to be fired. And it will also shut down the whole local business and local economies. Because if Wendy's isn't even going to consider it and they're just going to put in computers, what do you think all the small businesses have to do? I've worked at small businesses for the past, I don't even know, 5 or 6 years now. And if I got bumped up to $15 an hour, I would immediately be put out of work. I mean, it's just something that small businesses can't handle and the local economy can't handle. So there is a plethora of these articles. Labor markets. Hundreds of employees at University of California at Berkeley are getting schooled in basic economics as a $15 minimum wage just costs them their jobs. Too bad liberal elites fighting for $15 don't get it. And part of me really wonders if they do get it or not. Because ideally, if they push this through, what will inevitably happen it will lead to socialism. Because think about it, I've asked this question. It's so funny because the crazy far Marxists, when they try to say, oh well, the people should have the means of production, this and that, I pose the question to them where it's like, okay, but if 90% of your businesses go out of business, how often do you think people will then go without a paycheck? Are you cool with that risk that the majority of people will go without a paycheck because the business is sucking and most businesses do poor instead of doing well, and you're just focusing on a few rare exceptions that are doing very well and trying to hope that everyone ends up with that outcome? But, I mean, this was just going to end with the majority of the country on food stamps and everything else because they're going nuts. They're completely destroying the economy every chance they get. So, last year, University of California President Janet Napolitano announced plans to boost its minimum wage to $15 an hour at the start of the next school year, independent of the state law. Since UC Berkeley was already in financial trouble, it ran a $109 million deficit last year and is projecting a deficit of $150 million this year. Number crunchers had to have factored in the higher mandated wage, making their layoff decisions. Those workers might want to have a chat with the folks at UC Berkeley's Center for Labor Research, who just the day before Brown signed the wage hike bill, released a study touting the minimum wage was a boon to low-income housing breadwinners. After the report came out, Ken Jacobs, chairman of UC Berkeley Center, told Los Angeles Times this is a very big deal for low-wage workers in California, for their families and their children. It is a big deal as well to those soon-to-be out-of-work UC Berkeley workers. But why is anyone surprised about job cuts following a wage hike? It is one of the most basic laws of economics. Any high school kid taking Econ 101 can explain it. If you raise the price of something, demand goes down. Keep in mind, too, that $15 minimum wage is more than twice the federal minimum wage today and would set the wage floor higher than it's ever been. On an inflation adjustment basis, the minimum wage peaked at 1968 at just over $10 an hour. Even the liberal Mother Jones admit that $15 minimum is terra incognita and might not be entirely benign. What's surprising then is that unions, liberals, and others pushing the minimum wage hike have managed to convince the public that this law somehow doesn't apply to the labor market, and so succeeded in getting $15 laws in California, New York, and Seattle. You can bet that either Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton will push the $15 at the national level if either is elected. Berkeley employees whose jobs are on the chopping block might want to educate these leaders about the perils of this idea. This editorial was updated to reflect the fact that the University of California had decided to raise its own 15 starting next school year, independent of California law. So, I mean, this is the thing. People are fighting for these things, and they're only thinking of it as far as themselves. They're only thinking of it as, I want more money, so you should give me more money. They don't care about where it has to come from, or unintended consequences, or any of that. That's whatever. Doesn't even pop up on their radar. So, I just wanted to cover that, because it's something that you're going to keep seeing, and we're already seeing the unintended consequences.